Hey everyone, welcome to Zeitgeist Zealots. I'm Forrest.
I'm listening to Jason Aldean. Fucking try it again.
Starting it already.
Yeah, starting it.
I'm ready.
I guess for tonight I will be Matt.
Wait, no, are we not going to restart that? Then I don't want to officially be listening to Jason Aldean.
Nope, it's forever. You're forever Jason Aldean fan.
The internet is going to claim this forever.
Throw it in there.
Yeah.
Hello, China. How you doing today? I hope we don't harvest all of my data. That's called a segue, ladies.
Speaking of harvest.
Nice. Yeah. So new episode of Secret Invasion called Harvest, aka this was like a really short and cheap episode because they're saving all the budget for the last episode.
So cheap.
Yeah.
Dude, they spent $200 million shooting this series,
and they
for
probably
6 episodes.
What percent of it went to that?
Last episode, yeah.
Yeah, last episode
when they
was
attacked
decent.
the president.
I'm sorry, no. What percentage went to that hospital scene? Right? There's
Oh my God.
The hospital.
It's the freaking president.
The president is shot. He's
And it's-
critically wounded, and there's 3 people. And like, look, I'll tell you this: we're gonna get
Where the
into
hell
it.
is his
I've got
protection?
notes.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna talk about
And
this.
Fury
all.
just throws the president in his car and drives away.
Well,
With no
I mean,
escort. No, when Brody goes in to talk to him, none of the monitors are on.
Yeah, it's shit. But no, like even before then, right? Like there. So we start. There's the president. He's getting wheeled. There's Nick Fury, Rhodey, and like a nurse, right? And then Rhodey's like, later on, Rhodey's like, where's the president? And there's like, over there. And he gets all pissed off. And he's like, clear the floor. Look, don't write that, right? Write a line that says you already cleared the floor. And that explains why there's no backgrounds, there's no extras. Like, that explains why, like, the shit's barren or whatever. But no, you're telling, like, you purposely wrote, hey, you nurse, go clear the floor, as in, like, future tense, like an imperative, go clear the floor now. So where is all the budget? Where's all the background actors? Where's all the money?
It all went to the last episode.
Did Disney
obviously.
go broke?
Oh
Did
no!
Disney
No!
Get
It all
broke
went.
when they went woke.
It all went to Bob Iger's paycheck. Don't you know?
Ah,
That's why
there
they're
it
on
is.
strike. Yeah. So we had to bring in like a
Or they
SAG.
had that veil. What did he call it? When he changed his face.
That was
Fury
later
was
in
coming
episode.
through
That's the Widow's Veil. Yeah.
The Widow's Veil.
Mission Impossible.
Hey, remember that guy from Black Widow? I didn't either.
I didn't either.
On the-
Thanks,
on the-
Spring
on
Crush
the air-
and Rockstars.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
bet.
what do you guys think? Before we dive into it, what do you guys think? General thoughts on the episode? Let's start round table.
I like that it
Forrest?
was short. I like that it was short.
That's
I'll
what
put it
she
that
said.
way.
I kind of
and-
like the longer episodes, honestly.
Me too.
I mean, I think they got a lot done. They definitely longer episodes. It's doing a lot less with more, but this episode it felt like they got the necessary amount of story.
Yeah, as long as
And-
they're using the whole hour.
Yeah,
But
but
the-
this is like 35 minutes though.
So yeah,
I
it
was
was
saying
like
for
36.
the long- I was saying for the long episodes.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
but even then, it's still.
As long as they're not just like dragging it out on the long episode.
Oh, you're talking about like I remember. You guys remember watching Game of Thrones and like yelling at your TV? You're like, "There's only 10 of these fucking episodes a year. Stop talking about fish or whatever." Like, you just get so mad. You're like, "Get to the important scene." You're like, "This is such terrible." Like towards the end.
Or on this show, I'm just like end. Just please
Yeah,
end.
no, yeah, this and I'm just like, whatever. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Like we already know Nick Fury's gonna stay alive. Like we saw him in the trailers for Miss Marvel.
Oh, the Marvels. There's
Yeah.
like no stakes. In this,
or sorry,
in this
not Miss
show.
Marvels, the Marvels. Yeah.
Because we know this is gonna have a happy ending. It's like-
But Matt, what did you think about the episode?
So I will say 2 quick things. One is all of a sudden this is not a very family-friendly episode. I was watching it during dinner tonight with my kids and had to send them upstairs when Gravik all of a sudden ended up with a bag over his head and started
Oh.
slashing people's throats.
Yeah.
My wife was yelling at me that it was not child appropriate, and I'm like, yeah, I agree.
People, they're
but-
scrolling.
But two,
This is Disney Plus. This is Disney
Yeah.
Plus, baby. This is for kids.
But 2, I will have to say the discussion we had last week and the week before is what is so frustrating with the show is you have some of the best writing you've seen and then immediately right thereafter some of the worst. And this episode was literally some of the worst all around. And I know you need this kind of like filler episode to get all the characters from point A, E, Q to like point D. But it was just like very ham-fisted, very cheap. Like there was like what happened to the budget. I remember thinking the whole time watching, going like, the final better be like super crazy
Yeah,
because
it's
I don't see how
WandaVision.
230 million was spent.
What if every Avenger shows up?
It's like WandaVision. Like all the budget went to that last episode. It's like literally like an actual movie.
All right,
So for the action scenes. But yeah, go ahead.
Two things. The second one I'm just gonna mention because I have terrible ADHD. I'm gonna forget it, right? And that is why I think it's a little suspicious. Like, why does Colby Smulders have such a high billing in this television show? Like,
she's a special guest star. Yeah,
she's always like the first name, and then like when you Google it, she's like the second or third name. It's very suspicious for a person who died like 1 minute into the show or whatever. And then the first question I want to circle back to you, Matt, talking about your kids watching Disney Plus. Are you gonna let them watch Drag Me to Dinner? Drag Me to Brunch?
I've never heard of that.
No, it's called
Never
Drag
heard
Me
of
to Dinner. You haven't
No
heard
idea
of
what it
Drag Me
is.
to
No.
Dinner? It's Drag Me to Dinner is a reality show pitting teams of famous drag queens, often from RuPaul's Drag Race, against each other as they try to create the most fantastic dinner parties ever.
This is on Disney Plus?
This will be coming to Disney Plus.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
Speaking
yeah,
of, like,
that's
just
the show.
you used to just be able to like let your kids, like your 5-year-olds, just like watch whatever on Disney Plus, and like for some people you still can, and for other people you can't anymore. And for each your own, you can tweet us at Ziza Podcast and let us know what you think about Drag Me to Dinner.
Well, Major, I think Gargoyles will probably be darker than that show.
Yeah.
To be honestly, it's not
Honestly, at the end of the day, if my daughter watches it, she watches it. Just have a conversation about that whole lifestyle, and cool. I'm not going to actively seek it out, but if my daughter runs across it, just have an open conversation with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about your son?
My son is not allowed to touch the remote because he drops it too often.
Oh yes. Good father. That's a good dad right there.
So
All
y'all think?
Let's actually talk about this episode then. I guess we'll do it then.
Did y'all think Nick was going to kill Rhodey or
No.
Rhodey?
No.
Scrody?
Rhodey has
Raven.
But he also yelled out like that he was a Skrull, but are those other guys?
I'm guessing the Secret Service is also Skrulls.
So first off, let's talk about
that's
this.
what I was wondering.
The last episode, Nick Fury found out you can just shoot somebody without killing them, and they'll start to turn into a Skrull.
Yeah,
So
that
he
happened
could
to the Prime Minister this
He
episode.
could, and it happened to the Prime Minister, exactly, right? But Nick Fury saw it personally with Alice in the last episode. So Nick Fury, with this knowledge in mind, could just shoot Rhodey in the leg and be like, "This guy's a Skrull. He's trying to see the president," and then everyone's a Skrull.
But then they would have shot him. They would have
shot him. Yeah.
So
But
he was kind of like,
if anyone's a Skrull, here's the thing. When that happened, there was only one guy, and it was a bodyguard with a broken arm that Nick Fury broke 2 episodes earlier, right? And
why is he still working as Secret Service?
Gives a little love tap to the head. That's a great question, right?
You're useless. Yeah.
With a man
until he gets healed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
they put him on sick leave.
With $213 million for this budget, you think we can afford an additional actor for a day? No, thank you, sir. Here's my question. Mustache. There's the bodyguard, Rhodey, Nick Fury, and that's it. And then Nick Fury turns the corner, goes towards the elevators, turns around, and there's 12 Secret Service agents pointing guns at him. Where are these guys come from?
And then they all turn to Gravik.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are they all Skrulls and they were just burnt? No, there's no furniture on the fucking set. They must have been the walls. The Skrulls must have come out of the walls because there was no furniture. Where they come from?
Rhodey walked in with what?
One.
No
I think.
One guy. 2 guys. Anyway,
it was
not 12.
How many you popped up though.
No. So very low budget. That seemed. And then for the listeners, if you guys want to, every major YouTube channel calls this out. You can go Screen Crush does good. And I think Rockstars does it best. They compare when President Bartlett from The West Wing, which is one of the greatest shows ever written, when The West Wing, when President Bartlett gets shot and he gets rushed to the hospital,
and he becomes a Skrull.
And he becomes a Skrull and a Republican. It's a wild episode, guys. But there's 100 people in the background. It's like a full blown hospital going on. But this is what I like. back in the day, like, and when we were like filming skits and stuff before YouTube, right? When it was just for our own like personal entertainment, this is like a hospital scene we would shoot. Like Robbie's on like the gurney, right? Like I'm there, there's Matt, right? And then Tip's like, he'll come in later. He'll come in at the very end of the scene, right? Like usual. But like that's us. Like we could play this entire scene. It's dumb.
So I would counter argue that they're in the UK where you don't need insurance, so you're not seeing all the people asking you for money right as you run into the emergency room.
Ooh.
So that cuts out about 50 people.
Counter argument.
Just
you're in the UK, you don't have to pay for healthcare, so there should be more people lining up. My buddy in Canada, land of the free healthcare, was biking to work. I know, right? What a Canuck. Fell off of his bike, scraped his elbow, and then on the way to like Texas boss was like, I'm gonna be a little bit late. On the way to work, just stopped by like the urgent care or whatever their equivalency is, right? And then like got bandaged up and then walked out, like didn't pay a single dime. And I'm like, that's crazy. If I went to like the emergency room today and I got a band-aid, that's like $60 right there.
Yeah, but how low is
$100 band-aid?
Yeah. So what happened after like he threatened Rhodey? I think that's when Rhodey goes to president.
This is like
no. Gravik calls Rhodey and says like, tell him to bomb New Skrullos. Which aren't they like literally on a old nuclear facility? So isn't that like a terrible?
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably gonna start Chernobyl Part 2 if they if they bomb New Skrullos, it seems so. But
I heard Disney is trying to license their properties off to other companies now. Maybe they're trying to collab for Chernobyl Part 2.
Yeah, there's gonna be a crossover between HBO and
I would watch the
Disney
shit
Plus.
out of that. That Chernobyl it wasn't doc.
It was I still haven't finished it.
Drama series, docudrama, whatever. No, drama. Just a little mini season.
Chernobyl was in the 80s. Chernobyl was in the 80s. Oppenheimer's in the 40s. So kind of like a long gap there. But
so
maybe,
Maybe
there'll be an Oppenheimer / Skrull / Chernobyl crossover involving time travel and the Kree too. Who knows? But yeah, so Rhodey Gravik wants the president to bomb New Skrullos so they can start World War III. But actually, he doesn't because he wants to use that as leverage so he can get the harvest.
But this is the worst writing, right? This is like literally the most convoluted thought process of all time. So like, he sends Priscilla, Nick Fury's wife, to kill Nick Fury, and when she fails, he's mad that she didn't kill Nick Fury. However, he wants Nick Fury to stay alive. Like, it's such bad writing. Like, I want
now he does because the plot needs him to.
But he needed it before because he still didn't have the harvest. He always needed Nick Fury alive, which I will say is the one redeeming writing factor of this episode. All right, and actually no, there were some really good like dialogue scenes of great writing, but like plot-wise writing, I think now personally, let's go round table after I say this, right? Personally, I feel satisfied with the Avengers not being involved in Secret Invasion, right? Like, if he involved the Avengers and they found out that Nick Fury secretly harvested their DNA without their permission, that's some Tower of Babylon Batman bullshit, which we'll talk about. I've got some notes. We'll talk about it later on. But I see now why Nick Fury doesn't want to involve the Avengers, at least canonically, and I am satisfied with this.
The show only would have been one episode, and then one episode would have been 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
He was like,
that's not canonically, but canonically, he couldn't get the Avengers involved because that would risk them finding out that he collected their DNA without.
He already has all their DNA though, anyway. So I mean, like,
not not Carol Danvers.
He doesn't? I thought he had.
He does now.
Well, who did he have?
It's not like he did before.
Does he have Thor's DNA? Like, how would
he's
that
got
work?
all the DNA. He said they got all the. So they.
How would you transfer Thor's powers to a Skrull? I mean, Spider-Man, I could see. Hawkeye's useless because he's just a dude.
Oh yeah, because Spider-Man, right? He got his powers transferred from a radioactive spider. These are comic book movies. Don't blink that hard.
Yeah. I guess Ant-Man, but he's not really using DNA. He's using PEM particles. It can't like naturally become small. So it's just like, what DNA? And why is it all in one vial? That's the thing, though.
So I think this brings back also the issue of the fact that there's no mutants yet in the
Oh.
Marvel
Can we
Disney
change it?
Plus.
Can we change it for half a second and talk about the shortest death of all time? Marvel killed Amala Khan in this Marvel.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
and now she's
literally
already have
brought
a
her
new
back.
series. Yeah,
Brought her
she's a-
back literally a month later. Dude, like the shortest death of all. Don't fact check me on that, but like it feels like the shortest death of all time in comic books. Like that's
Well, they're kill.
so dumb, and they're only
Yeah.
doing it because of the movies, right? So they're gonna
Yeah. Because they
Kill her
killed
off-
her. They killed her to
kill her off
generate
as an
interest in the
Inhuman,
media.
so they can
Yeah.
make her as a mutant.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think they literally just killed her off to make audiences care about her because like all her solo series have been canceled like after like 10 issues, and B because the movie's coming out. So they just want to generate interest in her by killing her and then bring her back for a solo series.
Perhaps,
So-
but they're bringing back as a mutant, so I think it's more of a
Oh,
we're gonna
that's
kill
so-
her as an Inhuman.
I
and
so
then we're gonna
fucking
bring her back as a
hate that
mutant.
they changed the comics to like suit the MCU.
Hey,
especially
hey,
the
hey,
MCU.
hey, Nick Fury, Samuel Jackson's a great Nick Fury, right? So you gotta take the good with the bad, all right?
But I mean, he was good in the Ultimate Universe. The Nick Fury in the 616 universe was fine too. Was great too. There was no
Oh,
need
yeah.
to kill off that Nick Fury. You
I'm
could have
sorry.
just
Did you want the fuck? My name's it's the guy who's eating burgers on a bed in Germany. Do you want David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury?
I'm talking about in the comics though. But
Isn't
maybe-
Hasselhoff who Nick Fury, the white Nick Fury, is based off in the comic book?
but that movie wasn't based off in the MCU or like any other shared universe. But the point is, like, they already have the Ultimate Spider-Man and the 616 Spider-Man in the same universe. Why not the same Nick Fury? Because they can't
Yeah.
kill off Peter Parker.
62?
Yeah, I just started some orange
What?
juice.
Oh, Matt, go on mute.
Right.
You are very loud.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
hear a lot of
Yeah,
random.
it's still 62.
Did you
I
say
don't get it.
69? That's better for reviews.
Yeah. Yeah. What else happened? Gravik killed his second command. What was
Oh,
his
so
name? Payton?
Gravik killed Payton, because Payton failed him. But again, Payton needed to fail for all this to happen.
Well, yeah, because he needed.
Or-
Because I guess he wanted him to tell the
Well,
British
no,
lady.
he wanted it to fail so he could outguy it. He wasn't trying to blow up the UN. He said that combo was better to him alive than dead.
Well, he said that. I mean, now that the
Right.
government. Well, the thing was like, what was his name? What was his fucking name? Oh, he told the guy who got killed. Pagan, is that his name? Payton.
Payton.
Hayden. So he told the British lady that the Daltons were working on Super Skrull serum, but didn't he also tell her Didn't he tell her where the Skrull base was?
Oh,
I wanna go back and
are you talking about the
Episode 2.
Oh no, the doctor, the really nice British lady you're talking about, Fallsworth. I remember in the last episode she was talking about how she had a Skrull mole in her mix, and she discovered it was her boss, and that's who the ginger, the redhead, she shoots and outs later on in the episode. That's how she finds out the location of the scientists.
Okay, then why did she torture that one dude then when she learned from that?
Because I think she was trying to find out the location and they didn't know.
Oh, okay. I thought he told her something though.
She told her
Where the safe house was.
where
Yeah.
Gravik's safe house was.
Which was completely useless because because Rhodey told the president where it was. So that was completely useless scene.
Are you confused by the terrible writing? So is everyone else in the fan base.
Yeah, so also, why did the guy I remember like she goes to see the scientists and she takes them hostage. No, I mean she like handcuffs them and the guy breaks the handcuffs and grabs the scientist lady instead of the Fallsworth lady, which would have made way more sense. He could have just like grabbed her, shot her in the head, and then like gotten away. He was like, no, I'm going to take her hostage, even though you're armed with a gun,
Yeah.
and then he just shoots her in the head. So it's just bad writing.
Are
yeah.
your men
So-
like my men on my planet? They only care about themselves and not other people. Bam!
Or how about doesn't he just shoot her because she doesn't have time to raise her gun anyway? It was just so lazy.
Well, because there are other agents in the background. So if he just shoots her,
Yeah, but
you know.
that never works out right.
But they're
I
not
would
going
say
to shoot
though,
the
first off,
scientist lady. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to shoot.
well,
the
he's
scientist
holding. The agents are not going to shoot him while he's holding an asset hostage. But yeah, it is lazy writing.
Yes.
Not to defend
I
it in any way.
Olivia Colman is phenomenal. The lady who plays Sonia Fallsworth, this British actress, or at least she sounds British, right? Amazing. My wife and I love her. She eats up every scene. She's so good in every scene she's in. Even just talking on the phone with Nick Fury about some.
She is so serious about like.
I really enjoy it.
The hard way, and she ain't playing.
Dude, she's so much fun, and it's so good. And like, she's like there, and like she's talking about like, do you want to get tortured? Do you want some cake? And then like the guy pulls out a shotgun and he points it at her, and then you get like this spy cliche where like a third party out of nowhere like points the gun in the back of the guy's head. Like I always enjoy that in a movie, so like I enjoyed that scene. It was fun. Not the best writing, especially at the end. And then she's like, blah, blah, blah. She's the guy in the head. But what a sassy actress. What a sassy character. I'm really enjoying her.
I really enjoy her. She was part of a BBC show back in the day called Broadchurch, which I
You high? You're high? We lost you, Matt.
Yeah.
Got cut off there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me now.
There we go. Sorry.
Broadchurch.
So Broadchurch, it's a BBC show. You should be able to get on Hulu or Netflix. I forget what it is. Highly recommend it. Has David Tennant in it. It's like a detective show from I think the early like 2012, 2013. But it is phenomenal. The acting is amazing. And since then, that kind of like launched her career. Since then, she's been in a ton of stuff for the BBC. She's actually done a lot of voice acting on children's movies as well.
Oh, nice.
So,
she's got a great voice. I believe that.
Oh yeah, Mitchell's versus the Machine. Ron's Gone Wrong. So like,
you can watch Broadchurch on PBS Masterpiece Amazon channel or free with ads on the Roku channel.
Probably
Yeah.
Pluto too.
Torturing people.
I know. Nice. She's got range. Her resume's broad. She's in Broadchurch.
Yes, I thought that was clever. I thought because she was a broad. Damn, that was like a triple pun. Triple pun alert. Wah, 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 wah.
So, did y'all like we finally saw Gravik scroll form? He's got big ears, which means he has. Yeah, we did. Remember they put a bag over his head?
Yeah, they put a bag over his head.
He came out pissed.
Yes, he did.
Does he have any other followers now? That he literally killed one, and then they all his other scrolls turned on him. So does he have? Because like Gaia also betrayed him first, but like does he have like any followers now, or is he just like solo?
The ones who are scared of him, all the
women. Yeah, now everyone's scared of him.
Well, especially what he said to him after he like stabbed the dude with the.
He slit his throat. Yeah,
slit his throat. Yeah. So basically.
Well, there was another guy that he stabbed with his brute arm.
He killed him so bad that he.
The first guy he killed the.
And then he said like all of you.
You're like, faceless. You're nameless. You're nothing.
Faceless.
Which I think every.
It seems a bit racist.
No. Every millennial this is ageist. If anything, every millennial and Gen Z knows exactly what it feels like to working for some guy who thinks you're faceless and nameless, and they can just sack you at any point if you fail.
I told them all to bomb you anyway.
Yeah.
But what a great coup! That was fun. What a fun fight scene. However, again with the bad writing, Gravik makes a big point about how like. He talks about the super scrolls. He's like, we're all gonna get superpowers, and then no one has superpowers but him. So like,
maybe you should have traded him after you got superpowers.
Yeah, what a shit boss. I'd be like, yo, boss, you said we were all gonna get superpowers. I just saw your arm turn to a tree and stab some guy. When am I gonna get that? And then maybe we plan the coup.
Or maybe betray him after you get powers and you're actually on the level playing field.
And then also,
or does he have like a password to the machine or something?
No, obviously not because
Gaia used it.
Yeah, that's right.
They just gotta go to the scientist guy.
I would say it's a big dick move for Gravik to pump himself full of multiple powers, like all the other scrolls, the few that we have seen. With powers, they'll have one, and Gravik's like, nah, I'm gonna take them all.
Gotta have them all. Super.
Yeah, what's the indestructible one? Because I have a feeling that's gonna come in next episode.
Obsidian Coal.
Yeah.
Except, no, wait.
Did he got killed like super easily in the movies? Though,
and his arm got cut off.
Yeah, like very easily. You see, like
Wait,
a freaking.
he's not the indestructible
sorcerer.
Hulk. Wait, is the Thing indestructible from Fantastic Four?
But they haven't introduced him yet. They can't use him. They can.
No,
maybe
but
use
these are the
Abomination.
thing. These are the Fantastic Four powers. Remember from we were talking about this last episode. They're mimicking the Fantastic Four powers.
Yeah.
So
I
I
guess
don't
Cole
think
Obsidian's
you can-
supposed to be the Thing
Look.
analog.
Actually, that's a good point. I don't want him to be indestructible. He might be the worst villain since the Flag Smashers. But then before that, like
I
in
don't
a
know.
long,
He's better than Flag Smashers.
no, this is still pretty pointless and bad. These are still pretty shit villains.
Oh yeah, they they just
Like,
kept making
so
shitty
I've got
ones.
a note here. I want to ask you guys: was this tyranny earned from Gravik? Like he turns on Payton, which is like his number 2 in command, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, "You're all nameless. You're all worthless. He's like yelling at people. Like, this didn't feel earned to me. This seemed out of pocket, as the young kids say, or out of character. I didn't necessarily feel this was earned. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole show has been earned at this point. I do think
No,
that,
this show was earned. Phases 1, 2, and 3 have earned Secret Invasion.
this whole show is
what
like a
Marvel has
sequel.
done to Secret Invasion is a tragedy.
So I just to butt in really quick, and I know I argue
Always
this
butt in.
every single show. I don't know why, after 1 or 2 episodes, we get convinced that this time it's going to be different. This time it's going to be different with whatever. In reality, the only purpose of the shows, and the only time this wasn't really 100% true was Loki, was the only purpose of the show is not to be entertaining. It is to serve as 6 to 8 episodes to set up the next 3 movies.
And even Loki was a setup of like the Kang Dynasty,
Yeah.
at least planting the seeds for the Kang saga or whatever. But
every time we start off episode 1 and we're like, hey, yeah, no, I'm intrigued. Okay. And episode 2 is kind of like, not bad, not good. And you're like, hey, okay, I see where it's going.
Maybe, yeah.
And by episode 4 or 5, we're like, this is the worst.
yeah,
This
It's a
exposition
terrible
dump is the worst. And it's every single show that they have done.
It's a
And we
great
keep coming back to this. We keep getting tricked by Disney somehow. I don't know how they get away with it. They can't keep getting away with this.
Matt,
well, you sound like
Matt,
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
They gotta make the.
You
They
can't
can't.
keep
They make
getting away
this.
with it. We can't keep getting away with it.
Matt, that's an excellent point. And one I actually shared a similar thought in the last week when I was like reflecting on this, making notes for the podcast, right? Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sucked. No one here watched that shit. And like I have to constantly be reminded that like Agent Carter was even a show. Right? So these are all Netflix, these are all Marvel shows, not Sam's Netflix, right? But like, except for Daredevil, and then maybe like Luke Cage season 1 and some other stuff I'll fight you on. Dude, Marvel TV shows have always sucked. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. No one watched Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Humans was the fucking worst ever, right? So like, is it like, shame on us for thinking like maybe they can make a TV show? This is garbage, and it's been garbage since day one. Since
WandaVision,
WandaVision, man.
Since day WandaVision.
Hey, WandaVision.
Eagle Guy and Spring Swing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then Loki was good except episode 3, even though that was like a setup. So Loki is the
Before or after WandaVision?
It was the third Marvel show. Hawkeye also pretty lame. Moon Knight forgettable. Miss Marvel.
And
yeah.
Hawkeye at times, I had forgotten about Moon Knight, which is hilarious.
I forgot about
Hawkeye
Moon
at
Knight.
times was decent, but in the end, same thing.
Yeah, just setting up
Let me ask
for
you this.
bringing back Kingpin.
What are the chances you ever rewatch this? Ever?
Zero.
The only one I've rewatched was Loki.
Look,
I haven't
that was
rewatched
it. And that
Loki,
was in the
but, you
moment,
know-
right? It was
Yeah.
good, and then you rewatched it, right? But like, we're like
I
a
actually
year plus
rewatched
into
it kind
this.
of recently.
Well,
Oh.
apparently the ratings for this show are awful. They're actually releasing the first 3 episodes on Hulu because the ratings on Disney Plus have been so bad. They're just trying to
For
get
what?
more for Secret Invasion. They're so bad they're releasing the show on Hulu
Huh.
Oh, on
because
Hulu
that's
now.
how badly they need ratings for this. So just imagine how bad And you mentioned Fallsworth being a good character. You keep saying that they're gonna have their own show, Major, because we're getting Echo, we're getting Agatha.
Oh God,
We're
no,
getting
I think
Ironheart.
she's the worst.
All
Wait.
these ancillary characters in these other shows are getting their own.
Hold on.
Getting in
If I
shows,
could get-
yeah.
If I get those two, plus Julie Louis-Dreyfus's character,
She's getting her own show. No, I don't think so.
yeah.
Amanda Waller's getting her own show. Like
Yeah,
James
put them all
Gunn's
together.
taking.
They just like have a girls get it done moment, and then it's like let's just end the MCU on that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just imagine like how awful this rating's gonna be for Echo, Agatha,
The last
and Ironheart
9
because
Disney
this is
movies have
yeah.
accumulated $900 million plus in losses.
just goes to show like this is a show starring Samuel L. Jackson, and the ratings are awful. So just think about how bad like the Echo, a character who's like never had her own series. Agatha also never had her own series. Ironheart, her series got canceled after like.
I'm done. I'm
10
not
issues.
seeing Blue Beetle. I'm not seeing Blue Beetle this year.
What's that Marvel? But
No, but it's
well,
you're tainting it all. Whatever Marvel
Was it-
come out with, I'm done with that too.
Wasn't
I'll be
Inhumans
back
at one
to the
point
podcast.
canceled? Like, why haven't we done Inhumans yet?
Inhumans was canceled, and then
yeah,
it was no, it was supposed to be a movie, and then
Perlmutter.
what was it like Pearl?
There was a split between Feige and Perlmutter, and Perlmutter
Yeah.
was in charge of TV, and he decided to adapt Inhumans as a fuck
So
you to
it
Feige. And
became
was
an
like, what is that?
ABC show, and so this was during this whole process. Well, once Marvel lost the rights, Marvel leased the rights to X-Men, right? There was
Yeah.
a huge Inhuman push, and so that's what they were trying to do there, make their own X-Men since they own the X-Men. And I don't know if you guys have seen that television show. I watched it in full. I binged it, and it is trash.
Oh yeah,
Agents
It was-
of Shield?
No,
Inhumans.
Inhumans. Have you seen
Oh.
Inhumans?
No, I have not. I didn't even realize it was a TV show.
But they brought him
It's
back.
so bad. And look, call me Matt. I'll Venmo you all the cryptocurrencies in the world. If you can find Inhumans on Disney Plus in under 5 minutes, it's impossible. You even search for you can like, oh Major, I'm smarter than you. I'll just search Inhumans. Nah, bro, search Inhumans. The first things that pop up, Marvel, but it's not Inhumans. Like you gotta dig deep. You gotta take that woman out to like a nice Italian restaurant. You gotta go to third base on her for like 20 minutes before you can find Inhumans. They're
They,
trying to
uh,
carry that shit
but-
deep.
It's put on
This-
Hulu though.
I think that this kind of raises a question about, Disney and Marvel. And I would like to pose, it's kind of interesting how the better quality movies under the Marvel franchise are actually Sony movies.
What?
No,
Like which
no,
ones?
that's a terrible conspiracy theory. Look, I prescribe to all the conspiracy theories with that one. I'm
Well,
sorry,
Into the
buddy.
Spider-Verse, right? It's Sony.
Morbius. I've seen Morbius.
Across the
Morbius.
Spider-Verse is Morbius.
Venom-
Across
the
from
Venom
Morbius.
movies?
It's, sorry,
The Venom movies, both of them, awful.
awful. No, I'm
The
just saying.
Amazing-
No,
Amazing
no,
Spider-Man.
no, no. You
Spider-Man,
cannot call
Spider-Man,
Venom-
Spider-Man Far From Home.
Awful.
Oh,
is
well,
one
yeah,
thing.
Like-
that's technically Sony, but it's with Feige's fingerprints on it, so.
I mean,
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, though. So
You can't keep getting away with it.
Feige has these fingerprints with Sony Spider-Man, and the quality is through the roof. And I actually enjoy them, even though I hate Spider-Man. I can't tell you how much I
Have you seen the
hate
new
him. Yes. Oh, I brought my son, and then I
How
immediately
is it?
brought my daughter like the next week.
Oh, when are you gonna?
My daughter has the Spot Funko Pop because she thought it was such a well-written character that she loved him. All right, and my favorite Marvel movie right now is that movie. And like, what did they do right there that Disney is getting so wrong?
That's a great question. All right, so I have two ideas to this, right? You can literally, it's on the podcast. Go back, check it out in the library. After Endgame, I said it. I said Endgame was one of the greatest movies of all time, and there's no way for Marvel to beat that. The only way they can move forward is to self-sabotage to bring the expectations back down to a reasonable level, and then you can start working it back up to like that phase 4, 5, and 6. So phase 4 was expectation destruction phase, and then 5 is going to rebuild it, and then 6 is going to blow your mind. So that's the first theory. The second theory,
just to speak to that
Okay.
theory really quick, because I do think there's some credence in that, because I think what is killing Marvel right now is there are no mutants, and I see X-Men and a lot of the mutants being introduced at the end of it, at the end of 5, at the end of 5, and at the beginning of Phase 6.
It's hilarious
There's
because Fantastic Four is also coming too. Don't forget.
I hope.
But here's the thing: Fantastic Four are not mutants. Every
They're
superhero,
mutants.
except for
They're dumb.
every superhero, is either a god, or they got through some accident, or through some scientific experimentation,
they're
gone
called
right or wrong.
They're called mutates, not mutants.
Yeah.
Mutates.
Yeah, me too.
Like
Yeah.
so, like
And
Deadpool,
so-
Spider-Man, Hulk, Fantastic Four.
Wolverine.
They weren't. No, Wolverine's a mutant.
No.
They.
So, like,
Wolverine's a
Hulk
mutant?
Was an
Yeah,
accident.
Wolverine. is
Oh
a mutant, but
yeah,
he
yeah.
was
My
a
bad. I was
mutant.
thinking with the adamantium, not the healing, not the bow.
Yeah, the healing factor is his mutant ability, but
Yeah.
they gave
Yeah.
The
and,
adamantium.
and the bone claws too, as his mutant ability. But yeah. So Fantastic Four, it's just funny to me. They're about to announce casting. They're going through casting, but since the actors are on strike, it's going to be probably they're not going to announce any casting choices because they can't. I don't know if they can like cast people while they're on strike, can they?
No,
because
I don't know.
Actors can't audition.
And they can't.
Union actors.
I'm glad the
can't
guy
even
who
go-
played Superman's already been casted.
They can't even go on podcasts.
They can't even walk the red carpet like the blue carpet because for Blue Beetle there's like no actress on
There
the
are
red
some
carpet.
special exceptions, like
The directors
Game of
can.
Thrones is still shooting in England because
There's
Not-
some religious movie too. That's
yeah,
shooting.
and then no, don't call religious movie shooting.
Yep.
I'm not familiar with the movie Shooting. I thought you
No,
were
no,
going to
no,
talk about The Sound of Freedom.
No. There is a
okay.
movie that's in like halfway through done that they're still filming. That's a super religious movie because they got some special exception.
Well,
because
not every
religion.
actor, not every actor.
I
is
know-
SAG, are they? Or
I know
was there
The
the
Sound
one?
of Freedom. The lead actor in The Sound of Freedom. I watched an interview with him, and he talked about how he wanted to express his compassion and his love for his brothers as actors, and wanted to support the strike, but he wasn't able to personally support the strike because the union denied his membership. I don't know any details.
Well, he's not
besides that.
getting it now.
But
I don't know
that
any details
itself
besides
isn't-
that, but
isn't
look,
even religious.
the main character in a movie on
Oh,
Independence Day.
Is it Jim Caviezel?
Outsold, yeah, that's
Yep.
it. Outsold. Indiana Jones is not allowed to be in the Actors Guild. I don't know what's going on. I don't know enough about politics, but I know what union dues are. I know what unions are. That seems weird.
Yes.
If you know,
Yeah.
you know,
So-
Zzel podcast.
So back to what you were discussing. What's your second theory as to why?
So my second theory is the more the lamer one that Disney has hired a bunch of millennials and Gen Z and have accidentally went woke and gone broke.
So that has been an issue with Marvel. They try to release
the comics.
yeah
and
the
movies.
comics. Yeah, the comics. There was a bunch of like really bad comics trying to appeal to
Matt,
a
what's
much.
that one woke comic?
The New Warriors.
one?
Yeah, I remember that.
The new. Oh my god.
One
what
was
were the
called
powers?
Snowflake. One was called
Snowflake. Oh my god, Snowflake. That
One
was
One
like-
had the power of like TikTok or something.
One had the power of like a
my
magic
God.
backpack from
Yeah.
Heritage or something like that. It was just they didn't
So
even release it because the blowback from like the promotional material was like so.
I saw stuff online about
Visceral.
it. I didn't know if it was like.
I only released
no,
it. It
it's
was like
real.
yeah.
So
It was worse than the first rendition of Sonic the Hedgehog.
so I will say this.
At least
It's
they
nice.
changed that.
For people of whatever they believe, whatever they do, to see a superhero or something that represents them, right?
Yeah.
But being the nihilist that I am, being the person who hates big, large corporations, Marvel wasn't doing it to be, the
Represent
better.
Marvel-
yeah,
Marvel
they
was
were doing
cash
it.
grab.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing it to exploit these communities that are underserved.
Yeah.
To like, you'll definitely buy this comic book because it's part of your community. If you don't, you're not really supporting your community, and it's frustrating to see.
Well,
And
Yes.
it's just,
that does lend credence, though. There are people right now in Marvel who, right, characters like Snowflake or TikToker or whatever their names were.
Safe Space.
Yeah, Safe Space. Yep, there was
Screen
Safe
Time.
Space. Yep.
Screen Time.
Screen Time was a TikTok one. Yep.
And then Trailblazer. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
yeah.
This woman is wider
It
than
just
Cardi
makes you
B.
wonder, like, is this a parody?
That's
That's what I thought too.
Well, they
when
never
they
released
dropped
it.
it.
I thought at first, but then X-Nate. So like, Matt, excellent points.
Well,
right?
the Ghost Rider series
Oh,
right now
right.
is pretty
And,
metal.
like,
So
as a group of white guys, we are super diverse, right? He says sarcastically.
Yeah, I like Triscuits.
I
Matt
know
Robbie likes
each and
weekends.
every one
Very
of these
different.
people individually, and there's not a single bone of hate in their hearts, right? Like we're not worried about diversity. We want diversity. We want representation. I personally would love more representation in our movies. We talked about it. I forgot the show, but like, that's it. Miss Marvel. When Miss Marvel was going through, like Robbie and I were talking, like, oh my gosh, we're learning so much about like this Indian heritage and this history. Like that's so fucking cool. Like we enjoyed it, right? Like we love representation in this podcast, at Z's podcast on Twitter, right? Well, we hate our cash grabs, and this is a stinky.
We hate bad writing.
Was a stinky, smelly cash grab, which is just bad writing.
As was
Really
Secret
quick.
Invasion.
With fiscal.
So one of my favorite shows to watch with my kids right now is on Cartoon Network. It's called Craig of the Creek.
Milf
I
Manor.
love
What'd
it.
you say?
What?
I said Milf Manor. What'd you say?
Yeah. Craig of the Creek. It's on Cartoon Network.
Craig of the Creek.
And
okay.
It's a great show that represents all communities, but it does so in a natural way where you don't feel like it's being forced down your throat. Like every character has a backstory, they're a community, and it is so well done. And once again, I go back to, why can Cartoon Network write a show that just does it so well and naturally for kids, and yet we can't do this for adults? We're getting this in Secret Invasion. And I think scrolls are perfect to be inclusive because they
They can be anyone.
yeah. So it's just frustrating. It's maddening.
Let's talk about this for a second. My wife and I were watching the Ryan Arias Screen Crush, and he was breaking down this latest episode, and he had talked about how, and I'm paraphrasing here, but like in past episodes, he talked about the racial divide, or how this is like this TV show is racial allegories for how Black people don't belong in America, how they feel and stuff. And like my wife and I both went like, "Whoa, what?" Like we didn't understand, like didn't see that at all. Like if that's the message they were trying to portray, like that's not what my wife and I were like picking up. I thought it was like a sci-fi flick about like a spy drama.
When they're in a church and they're listening to the song, that's like a very famous, like, you know,
Amazing Grace.
No. They're
That was amazing. Too famous.
It's like over the river. It's like
213 million. They couldn't afford
But-
Amazing Grace. Yeah, that him. And I only know about that because I watched like the breakdowns. But like I am like you can go back to the podcast. I am classically like race ignorant. I just don't pick up on like all that stuff in between. Like I'm not picking up on the stuff. Like I'm trying to enjoy a good movie, right? And I hate when like it becomes so blaringly obvious it gets shoved down my throat. But I love a good story, right? And that's what life is. Like my neighbor to the left, my neighbor to the right, the guy down the street, the guy at the gym, right? Like
He's Sinner. He's right of Sinner.
in your small town.
yeah, wherever races they are, right? Like I'm not questioning their backstory. I'm not like oh that's some shitty writing, like how you got here, right? Like I'm just appreciating their presence. That's what I'm trying to do.
But here's the thing, and this goes once again. I know I keep harping on this. This show at times has some amazing, phenomenal writing.
Phenomenal, right?
And then 2 seconds later has such crap writing, because the fact that there are certain communities that can pick up on those like subtle nuances about, hey, these scrolls are supposed to represent this, whereas us average white males in our 30s and 40s don't, speaks to great writing. But then 2 seconds later, once again, the bad writing shows through.
The bad writing. Yeah.
So,
let me ask you this: in a television show with a AI generated intro, right? And the intro, all the artwork was allegedly created by artists and then ran through an AI generator. I guess because editors are too expensive these days, right? But so once we know that happened, right? Let's just imagine that happened to the rest of the show, right? Disney took writers and they wrote some stuff and they threw it through an AI generator as well. Maybe that's
What kind of
happening
episode
here.
comes out?
Maybe
So,
we're having some good writing and then we're having some AI writing, or more scary, we're having some AI writing and some bad writing.
Well, with Bob Iger, I would 100% buy into that because he doesn't want to pay writers to begin with. What he makes in a day versus what a writer makes in a year.
Do you think Ron Perlman was
$36,000
talking about him
Was that
when he threatened him? Remember Ron Perlman was like, "There's a lot of ways to lose your house."
Mhm.
Think he was talking about Bob Iger?
Yeah, he was,
He's-
because
he's not-
he just gave that interview about like, we're going to drag this out as long as possible until they start feeling the pain and lose their houses.
Well, Ron,
Now,
you
once
never-
again,
you never play the thing now.
yeah. So once again, $74,000 a day is what he makes. The average screenwriter makes $64,000 a year.
Yeah.
So in one day,
I
he
heard-
makes $10,000 more than what the average screenwriter, who is probably living in either New York or California.
Well, before we wrap this up, we should talk about like Gaia's storyline in this episode. Which basically, like, Talos apparently is actually dead. That wasn't a fake out because they burned his body.
Thank goodness. That would be
And,
the worst. I guess he's number two
oh.
besides Uncle Ben.
Really
Is he
quick,
the
really
number
quick,
two now? Yeah.
before we get to that, who, knowing they're about ready to be attacked, sits in front of
worst
a
writing.
wall, a ceiling to floor, several panes
Oh,
wide
all we-
Uh-huh.
window?
Yeah.
Huge
Well, maybe
window. So,
maybe scrolls are glass tolerant. I don't know.
Can I read you a quote from my notes here, right? Quote, and this is where I feel bad for the screenwriters because yes, the writing is terrible, and yes, if they were better writers, they could maybe afford to actually own their own house and fall in love with it. But look, as a homeowner myself, and trust me, nothing compares to this, right? Like the love, the happiness a home brings you, the love a home brings you. You will not decide to have your last stand, a shootout, in that house, right? That house that makes your
I think about
happiness
resale value.
that you're gonna fucking monologue about. So like, no, look at not just the resale value. Best case scenario, you survive the shootout. All of the most precious and inanimate objects that you care about are dead. They're all gone. They're destroyed, right? Like your husband shot a bullet through one of your masks, bro. Those guys busted through and they shot up everything. This was terrible writing.
Another
Terrible
thing too.
writing.
She, and what got me, she is dialoguing with Gaia, and it's like,
Yeah.
this place has the best security, and yet not only is a sniper able to take a shot at her,
Security immediately
but-
fails. Yeah.
there's 10 guys attacking the house, no problem. There's no security. And when she said initially that this place has the best security, and knowing it's Nick Fury, I was expecting some like saber shield level, like automated, like turrets,
well, I
guess they
stuff
just
blocks
had that-
down.
Or one of those Iron Man
beams
robots.
start yeah, exactly. Like,
Those
or some
bags.
AI. I was expecting like the house to like defend them, and they like run away while the scroll attack fails.
Oh my god!
But we literally just get breaking into the house, shooting up everything. Oh, we happen to kill him in one of the worst fight scenes I've ever seen.
Worse.
I don't know if you've ever fired a shotgun. You do not.
Oh my
Bad-
god, dude!
bad
That
He was-
that
He was
so
too
bad.
busy putting all that into his cemetery.
Yeah.
Yo,
Oh, yeah.
Matt, I was so busy. I was so distracted by Nick Fury not having bulletproof glass that I didn't even think about how his SUV from the Winter Soldier has better security defenses than his fucking house does.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
That's the worst. And then one extra thing I wanted to point out, because that's such a good point. I want to talk about this for the next 7 hours. We're not, guys. Don't worry about it. But like, that's such
well,
that's such a
Nick
good
Fury
point.
wasn't there
But
for a long period.
In
of
the
time.
but you're gonna defend your house and you're gonna defend your wife. Like, so I know you're still looking, and that's right, ladies. Robbie's still looking. This gorgeous man, very attractive, skinny, muscular, nerdy as fuck. Tweet us at ZZL Podcast if you want his Twitter. Like, I'm married. I'm telling you right now, dude, even if I'm gone like fucking 10 years, especially if I'm gone for extended amounts of time, I'm gonna like properly barricade my house and defend it properly. Now,
Yeah.
because I'm a civilian, that means like ADT or whoever wants to sponsor this podcast.
CPI security.
Yeah, whoever wants to, right? But,
Identify
like, if I'm-
yourself.
If I'm I'm a poor podcaster. No,
I'm a Skrull.
but Nick Fury. I would have.
Who has
Not
access
sponsored.
to everything?
And especially when you got like the rise of Rick and Morty, like one phone call away. It's not that hard to write some home defenses in your script.
So who else?
One thing I want to point out though, there's one at the end. They did this big shootout, right, with Gaia, and it was okay choreographed. It was all stupid, right? It was terrible. But this guy falls through the ceiling, but they're in the basement floor, right? So he had to like fall through the kitchen or fall through the living room, but no debris falls with him. That's how fucking cheap and terrible this fucking television show is.
They just don't show the ceiling.
They
of
don't
where
show
he
any
fell down
debris. He
from.
just drops down from above like he's just come down on a zip line, even though they're on the bottom floor. It's so stupid. And lazy writing. I don't know what's going on with Marvel, but
Well, who else was on the edge of their
Disney's in
seat
trouble.
when Nick Fury put his eye patch back on? Because I know I was, because I dropped my fork on the
Well,
floor. I had to that is
I'll say
it fell underneath the couch.
it defeats the idea of is Nick Fury with an eye patch a Skrull and Nick Fury without the eye patch not a Skrull.
right?
So
So that's where
Yeah.
that was.
They do not have the balls to make Nick Fury a Skrull this entire time.
So, like, is him putting the eye patch back on, like, just to be about intimidation, or, like, I'm back?
Because he does not really need
Bitches.
the eye patch. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That was what I was going
Yeah,
for.
I think it was more just
It's just like it's such a lame like recreation of like Daredevil putting on the suit in the last episode of Daredevil. You know.
So, yeah. I do have one bone to pick, though. What annoyed me
Just
the most
one?
about this episode, well, it's two, actually.
Just to
And this goes to, no, the worst, the most egregious thing. I don't know if you've ever been to Finland. When the, agent greets him and asks for his passport. If he's actually Finnish, she would know that he was faking it, because Finns don't talk that much. All right, they actually had 2 sentences between them. I don't know if you've ever met a Finn. They don't talk that much. 2, what's her name?
Nick Fury and Whiteface.
and every other word was motherfuckers. That should have been a tell right
when they're going to his grave, she calls Finland Scandinavia, which, as we all know, Finland is not part of Scandinavia.
Nope.
They are their own culture and people. They're Ugric.
Might be a part of
Their language is completely different, but Finland is not part of Scandinavia. And if you can't even get that right when you're writing, that means there was no fact checking. They just especially if she's like SIS in the UK, she would definitely know that Finland is not Scandinavia.
Hold on.
So it's just like a little subtle thing that like
have you
the
seen
writing
Red
is that
Theory
bad.
That Finland doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Yeah, no, Finland
Yes.
doesn't exist.
So
Even though I've been there.
This is the research that you have requested that these writers do. They went on Reddit, they looked it up, they said Finland doesn't exist. We'll just lump it in with Scandinavia.
So
Well, this was an episode of the show.
This was an episode. This was the penultimate episode of the
Unfortunately,
show.
it was not the last episode.
Oh, can we talk about one extra
so
thing? I wanna talk about one
who's he on the phone with at the end?
Oh,
I only remember that part.
Yeah, I barely
Maria
remember that
Hill.
part, yeah,
when
like-
he was
Yeah.
walking out.
Let's
after
end
he put
this.
his stuff back on.
No,
Maria Hill. Is that her name? Maria Hill?
Yes,
The
it's
agent
Maria
that was
Hill.
killed.
No, he was talking to his Spectrum account.
Yeah.
He
No,
wanted-
Shut the
let's
fuck
end
up.
this. He
because
wanted-
Maria Hill has to still be alive.
Yeah,
They never really.
she-
They showed her
Top
coffin,
villains.
and her mom's mad, but
and she
she's
was in the
definitely got to
Marvels
come back.
trailer. I'm kidding.
Yep.
All right, so
yeah.
I
Let's
think
end
that's.
this.
You guys want to end this, but I want to talk about for 2 more minutes because we have a real Tower of Babylon moment here with Nick Fury as the.
Oh yeah, the
He
harvest.
gathered all the DNA with the harvest, right? He's pulling a Batman. He's trying. I don't know if he's pulling a Batman. Batman had actual plans, like Nick Fury.
Justice.
Just has fucking DNA, right? He doesn't have plans in place. But is that what they're going for? Like, why was Nick Fury harvesting the DNA? I want to get everyone's thoughts before we leave this podcast because I have no idea why he would want all their DNA.
Because if the Avengers ever turned like Tower of Babel, if they ever turned bad, he would just create new Avengers. I
But
don't know,
how? What technology
Avengers
does? What
can he
technology
even-
does Nick Fury have that he could take this DNA and put it in someone else?
He can't even say because like Iron Man's dead. I guess Captain America could have his DNA. I guess.
Maybe
Super
they'll
soldier serum.
eventually have.
Iron Man can be
Hulk,
dead.
maybe.
Well, Iron Man was not a superhuman. Who cares about Tony Stark's DNA? You want Tony Stark's brain. But anyway, go on. Yeah.
Maybe they can't use Spider-Man because they gotta get Sony's permission. Like they can't reference Spider-Man without Sony's blessing.
Yo, they said Carol Danvers dropped blood, which didn't happen on screen, so it might have happened off screen after Thanos punched the shit out of her. Ryan Aries. One last thing, Ryan Aries was like, or maybe I don't know. One of the guys, they were all confused, like, how would the Skrulls be able to figure out whose blood is whose?
Yeah,
And it's
good
like,
one, Vile.
just swab every blood that's red. Just swab all the red blood, and then take it back to the lab, and then like just get rid of this control, delete the duplicates.
Because you can't even
So-
get Thanos' blood because he turned to ash.
Actually, in the comic books, they do find a way to detect who are actually Skrulls. I forget
Just
which
shooting them in the
superhero. No, I forget which superhero actually does it first, but then she's murdered by the Skrulls because she's about ready to come up with it. But by the end, they're able to come up with a test to figure out who is who. So I'm wondering if at the end they'll just do it like that.
The writers of the show were not allowed to read
Seriously.
because this show would have been a lot better if they had. So
I also
yeah,
don't think they were allowed to read the first draft.
my prediction for next week, I just thought of this like 2 seconds ago. I'm hoping they got to wake up Rhodey, the real Rhodey, and do you think he's gonna have the War Machine armor on? Do you think?
No, but he's gonna acquire it. He's gonna get
Will
it.
they at
I
least
bet it's
reveal
DNA
final battle?
activated.
When they took.
You know, so that's also a good point. If they bomb the facility in Russia,
They kill
all the
Rhodey.
actual people are in Russia. So,
But now here's this.
maybe
bomb
Gaia
Russia,
breaks in and like
there's-
saves all the people and like lets them go.
the people. Yeah.
Which how are they surviving the radiation?
Oh, Skrulls. They said in episode one,
Scroll,
Skrulls handle.
scroll, plot device, bullshit.
Yeah.
One line dialogue. Yes, the radiation from the shell cocoon keeps them from catching radiation poisoning.
Bad writing
Some
is the
some
answer to
bullshit.
that question.
Yeah, one
If
line
you
of
guys wanna
dialogue.
Submit your bad writing. You can submit that to our Twitter at ZZL Podcast. Let us know what you think about this episode of the podcast and Secret Invasion, episode 5, Harvest.
One more to go. So I'm Forrest.
I'm getting tired of this show.
I'm Robbie.
Matt.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys. Have a great night.